What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioWatch 3 Raw TV. Today I want to talk about something that you guys saw the title, the intermittent fasting, the new intermittent fasting science that just came out that I actually just heard about today. Now, where I heard about it from, Alan Aragon. I always say his name wrong. I'm telling you right now. Hang on. Alan Aragon. Alan Argonon. Sorry, Argonon. Oh, fuck, I'll get it right one day. Anyways, so Alan, I honestly feel, as far as being like a science guy, as far as being like one of the people that are really into science, he's one of the few people that I've seen out there that truly is into the science, that is actually not out to try and purposely fuck with the bros. He literally just is into the science, and he doesn't really care which way the data comes out. He doesn't care whether it goes towards bros, goes towards science. He doesn't care. His thing is like, he truly is about the science, and he's like, this is what the science actually says. So whether you like it or not, this is what's up. So the newest thing came out that he put up today was intermittent fasting versus energy restriction on a weight loss, cardiovascular outcomes, a systematic review and meta-analysis of randomized controlled trials. Now, I'm going to read the main points. I'm going to go through and kind of explain this in my own words, because a lot of people out there, what I'm going to read off this thing, they go, well, that could mean this could... Listen, just bear with me, guys. It says this is the latest, largest, and most rigorous meta-analysis on the effects of intermittent fasting, intermittent energy restriction, intermittent fasting. They just call it IER for short, but basically intermittent fasting is what it is. On a weight loss and multiple metabolic outcomes, trials ranged 8 to 24 weeks. It says no apparent weight or fat loss superiority from intermittent fasting was evident. Linear, nonlinear diet archetypes performed similarly. Thus far, the adaptive advantages of intermittent fasting at a molecular, cellular, and hormonal levels seen in animal experimental models have largely failed to pan out in humans. Hang on a second. Overall, cardiometabolic markers, blood lipids, glucose control, blood pressure showed no difference between intermittent fasting and linear dieting. Therefore, unlike the promising data on animals, evidence is not sufficiently robust to suggest a superiority of intermittent fasting versus regular dieting. Now, basically what that says is intermittent fasting is no better than a carb cycling diet, no better than a keto diet, no better than any diet. It's just basically another fucking diet. Now, this contradicts what people have been shoving down everyone's throat for the last 5 years or so. Shoving intermittent fasting. It heals fucking everything. Like, it's the best thing in the world. Now, if you go back and remember, when intermittent fasting first came out, I tried to explain to you guys that there's nothing new. Okay, this has been done for so many years. They just didn't call it intermittent fasting. But 20 years ago, guys were doing this. They would eat in a short window to try to keep their calories. I mean, this was something that wasn't invented recently. It's been around for a long time. And when it came out, I said, okay, well, you know what? It could be another tool in the box, right? Just like keto, carb cycling, even food combining can be a tool in the toolbox. I've seen protein restriction with protein refeeds. I've seen, you name it, I've seen it and done it. So intermittent fasting wasn't anything new, right? So I'm like, why the fuck is everybody hopping on it? Well, it became a fucking fad. So the big ass fad that came out was everybody was doing intermittent fasting. And then they did like 8-hour eating window, 4-hour eating window, 12-hour eating window. Like, they started just throwing shit at the fan to see what sticks. But the problem is, people talk about it with such authority that they act like they know. And the more that they are sure of something, that makes people think that they're right, even though they're not. So they found out from these studies that in animal studies, they had certain things that happened, that all of this information going out about intermittent fasting was based on those animal studies. It wasn't based on what was happening with humans. When they did it with humans, it didn't pan out. But rather than saying, because if you went to one of these science people and said, this causes cancer in lab rats, they'd say, well, lab rats are not humans. It hasn't been proven in humans yet. Well, the same exact thing happened. We had results in animals and not in humans, but they disregarded the whole thing about not with humans. They literally cherry-picked it, disregarded the whole thing that it doesn't happen in humans, and went with the animal studies, and then made claims that those animal studies, because they didn't tell you it was animal studies, were how it affected humans, which wasn't the truth. This is what I said a long time ago, and people persecuted me for it. They called me an idiot, called me stupid. I was also the one that said, I can't tell you how long ago this was, that intermittent fasting works great for fat loss for some people. Not saying it doesn't, but it is very hard. I'm not going to say impossible, because there's going to be some kind of freak out there that can do it, but it's very hard, extremely hard, to build any kind of muscle on it. And a matter of fact, you will wind up losing muscle on it. And Greg Gallagher, who is Kinobody, is a perfect example of this, who is an individual that lives by the intermittent fasting code. He basically, I don't want to say he doesn't work, but he owns his own businesses and stuff like that, which means that just like myself, he has the availability to do what he wants, when he wants, make sure he gets his food in, gets his workouts in. You have the availability to make everything a lot tighter than the average person who has to work certain jobs and can't get to certain things or do certain things. He still lost muscle on his own program, intermittent fasting. So that I stepped back and I was like, you can't even maintain muscle mass on your own program, and you're preaching to everybody else about what a great program it is. So we saw breakdowns in this quote unquote science, which we now know the science didn't even exist. It was on animals. And we saw that breakdown in stuff like Grego Gallagher's. But we've seen so many people throughout the last 5 years talk about how it was just like coconut oil. Same shit as coconut oil. So many people out there read the research, the study, whatever on coconut oil, and then applied it to themselves. Like, oh my God, my skin is better. My gums stopped bleeding. My hair grew back. That's not how I grew my hair, but anyways, my hair grew back. It walked my dog for me. I went backwards 2 years on my birthday. They're saying all these claims about coconut oil because they read about it in these studies and this information. And it turns out the coconut oil used in those studies was a custom blend coconut oil that's extremely expensive. And that's not what these people are taking in the stores. What they're getting in the stores is about 15% medium chain triglycerides, and the rest of it's literally saturated fat. So they're not even getting, but they're getting the claims. They're claiming to get the responses from something that they're not even using. Same exact thing with intermittent fasting. What they did was read the research or read the data that basically said it was for animals, but nobody ever picked up on that. They just, well, this is what the data says, so it works in humans. Just like the coconut oil wasn't the real coconut oil, it's the custom blend. That they're two different things happening. Although people started quote unquote getting the results that was actually in those studies, they were claiming the results, right? That's another thing. The people claiming the results didn't actually get the results. They thought they did. It's impossible for you to not use the custom blend oil that was in those studies for coconut oil and get the exact same results using something different. It's impossible to get the results that was happening for intermittent fasting on the animals and get something different. You can't, it doesn't work like that. But people still made the claims. Well, here we are again, years later. Again, Jerry's an idiot. Jerry's stupid. Jerry may be a bro because he doesn't have a PhD. He doesn't do good in school. He doesn't take tests well. But Jerry's not fucking stupid when he sees how things work in the real world. My thing is, I want to make sure that what's being said can be replicated over and over again. It hasn't even been replicated in studies yet. It's been replicated in animals. So of course, when people stepped up talking about how magical coconut oils, how magical this is, and I'm definitely for keto. When people talk about magical keto, I'm like, it's not magic. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? You're all touting these next things as like these big fucking amazing things, and they're just tools. It's literally tools in your toolbox is what they are. But everybody's looking for that tool that doesn't exist, that one-stop shop tool that is like a wrench, it's like a screwdriver, it's like a fucking drill, it's like a soldering iron. There is no wrench that does everything. Just like there is no diet that does everything, there's no supplement that does everything, there's no drug that does everything. There are combinations of things that need to be put together to get a synergy to make things work. Like, it is not as easy as people want to make it seem. But the problem is, when it's complicated, that's when people really have to think. They really have to show how much they actually know, right? So if you look at this in the terms of the animal studies never panned out, the science person who's arguing with me saying that intermittent fasting is fucking be all end all would have to say, well, technically it took place in the animal studies, it didn't pan out in human studies, but I personally saw this happen and I did this with clients, was able to replicate it. Then that's too much work for them. And you know what? They can't replicate it because they're not even getting the results themselves. They're lying to themselves about the results they're getting. They're so fucked in the head, they're so brainwashed from the shit that they've read that they think they're getting the results when they're not. And they're out there promoting it, talking about how they're getting the results, and that floods other people's, their social media walls with all sorts of bullshit information that they read, and then they start telling other people, and then it spreads like wildfire that intermittent fasting is the be-all, end-all way to get lean. What about the fact that it never panned out in humans? What about the fact that Grego Gallagher fucking absolutely 100% lost muscle on his own thing? What about, and I love this one because nobody talks about this, what about intermittent fasting being an awesome place with people with fucking food issues? And I'm talking about people that have eating disorders. I'm not talking about people that like pizza. People with eating disorders to live in. You know, Jerry, what are you talking about? I told you guys this before, that intermittent fasting is a very good way to set off an eating disorder. Why? Because you restrict your calories all day long, which is essentially anorexia. No matter how fucking hungry you are, no matter what your brain tells you, no matter what your body tells you, blood sugar drops, you do not eat. You force yourself to not eat despite your body telling you that it wants and needs food. You completely fucking push that away and you mentally push through that. That's what anorexia is. You're controlling it because you're in control of your diet. That's what's happening. And then what happens is you hit that number at 6 o'clock p.m. or whatever it is, and you binge. You literally binge the entire time to get your calories in. And many people go over because they can't stop the binge. It is the perfect place for an eating disorder to hide. And we have seen so many disordered eating problems in the last 5 years when these new fad diets came out with IIF-WAM, which has foods that some people can't control in it, with intermittent fasting, which sets you up to be anorexic and bulimic. Give me a fucking break. I'm sitting back going, so you're trying to tell me you guys think it's healthier to restrict, to basically starve yourself and binge every day than to eat 5 meals spread evenly throughout the day? You think that that's not healthy? Because it takes more work? What work? Are you fucking kidding me? Because you have to make 5 meals? You're going to eat those 5 meals later on within that 4-hour eating window or 8-hour eating window. You're going to have all the meals made anyways. So what work does it take? It's not work. It's your body's giving you a signal telling you that it needs certain nutrients, especially protein, because your protein store, I shouldn't say stores, but the amino acid pool gets depleted every 3 hours. If you're going 16 hours without eating, you have depleted that amino acid pool. Your body is telling you that it wants amino acids, it wants protein, it wants that shit in it, and you're ignoring it. That is disordered fucking eating. So you have all these things that come with intermittent fasting, but it's the biggest fad because the science said it works. Well, now, like, they don't care if they get an eating disorder, they don't care if they fucking starve all day, they don't care because the science backs it up. The science never said that. This meta-analysis proves that science never said that intermittent fasting did anything besides maybe lose weight if you're calorically restricted. Same shit as the other thing. So all these people have been fighting about the science and fighting about the new way and fighting about how much better dieting is going to be because science has said this, and the science was never fucking there. Right now, I feel like people are just out there trying to not work hard. I'll be honest with you. You know, I talked to my buddy Jerry today from up in New England, and we had a discussion about how we think that many of the competitors, even people in the fitness industry, don't have the fucking heart anymore. It's not. It's all about how you look on social media. It's all about how you look to other people. It's not about progressing, getting better yourself, being better every day, being better this time than you were last time. It's all about how many pictures can I take, how many videos can I make leading up to my prep, how much can you leverage this. And I can't go against the grain. I have to go with the crowd because I'm trying to gain followers. So therefore, the science says this, so I'm going to run with that. And they don't even check into it. And they're literally putting out false information. Well, now all those people, they're going to argue back. But Alan Aragon, we know him as the big science guy. He's not putting out shit. So that means that this information, starting today, is going to be floating out there more and more. And people are going to argue it back. But here's how you can't argue. The science never said what you're arguing. So if you truly are a science person, shut the fuck up, look at the data, and stop arguing. If you are a bro, because that's what you're being right now, you motherfuckers out there arguing so much about intermittent fasting are actually fucking bros because there's no science backing up what the fuck you're saying. So you're just as bro as I am or anyone else. How's that shit fucking sit with you? You like apples? How's them apples? Bottom line, guys, the science and bro community shouldn't be arguing. We should be working together because bros have gone a certain distance before science ever got here, and they break new ground. Science backs up what they've already found. Science comes up with new stuff. If we work together, we could probably come up with 1 billion times better shit that's going on, or at least an understanding of how things are really working from case to case or study to study or person to person. So much more information could be had if we work together instead of fucking fighting. So this Alan Aragon, fuck, I'm so sorry I keep butchering his name. I actually want to get in touch with him. I actually post on his page. And there's another thing which, guys, we know that Alan is a very science-based guy. Someone said, well, Jerry Ward says that you can gain, or you can lose fat in a surplus or something like that. And he said, well, yeah, this can happen like this. And then the guy was like, well, Jerry said that you can gain fat in a deficit. And he was like, well, that's kind of, I don't understand. And I went right on his page and put how this works, like what this happens so that, you know, nobody's going to argue about it. But the bottom line is I think this person that was talking to Alan was expecting him to tear me up. And what he actually said was what I said was correct, that you can lose fat in a surplus. And not lose weight necessarily, but lose fat in a surplus. depending on how things are arranged. Like we know that this can fucking happen because it's happened. But to see him actually back up what I said, I was like, there's a science guy. It's actually backing up what I said with fucking science. When this other guy was trying to hopefully, was trying to get him to make fun of me and fuck with me. And I was like, so here's a guy that's putting out information that doesn't care about fucking one way, whether it's bro, it's science. He doesn't give a shit. He's talking about me, who's a bro, saying, yeah, what he said is actually correct. What else? Well, the other thing he said, he'd have to think about it to fucking figure it out. But that's all I've done is sit around and think about these things for 30 years, right? So I'm excited to see that gap getting bridged to where maybe in the future, very soon, the science guys and the bros won't argue, and we can get along and actually try to break new ground and get even further and create new, I don't want to say programs or physiques or whatever, but create the most efficient ways to actually get results and create better bodies. Like, that's the whole goal, right? As we progress as individuals and humans to evolve and have better bodies. Well, hopefully now this will be happening. And I leave my door open anytime to anybody who is science-based, who actually doesn't want to prove the bros wrong and try to have a superiority complex to look like they're better than anyone else, but actually say, Jerry, what's your theory based on this? Let me sit down. Tell me what your theory is. Let me try to figure out scientifically how that would be possible, if that's possible, and actually work together on it. My door is always open for something like that. But if you're a dick just trying to prove people wrong, to be an asshole, I'm not going to work with you. That's all there is to it. So hopefully, guys, you understand now that all these fads that pop up, and it doesn't matter if a million people say it's true, doesn't make it true. Everybody out there's been, I've had personal friends telling me that they're going to fucking fast and this and it fixes this, like, and all the new data, new science. This is the newest thing. Guess what? All that data that you talk about never fucking happened. It was only animals. That's going to feel like shit to a lot of people tomorrow morning. BioStraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. BioStraining, I just snorted. BioStraining.com is a blog. It's a tomorrow morning's going to suck bicep, and we are out.